In the continued history of video games, console manufacturers need to continue to show off the power of their console with exclusive titles. Sony has Uncharted and Microsoft has Halo is the sort of thing, but then there are the games that get caught in the middle. Call of Duty, Tomb Raider, and Assassin's Creed spring to mind. The games that are developed for every platform, and they draw in the big crowd, so sometimes the console makers will do a deal with them to get the better version and draw people to their console. That is the only reason I can accept for why Ubisoft of all publishers decided to put this DLC in AC Brotherhood as a PS3 exclusive as free content. Ubisoft did not, or was not allowed to put this package on the Xbox storefront as paid DLC, and that screams of Ubisoft being in the pocket of Sony back in 2011. Microsoft getting their revenge nowadays with Origins being presented alongside the Xbone. So, if it's free, is it any good? Well, considering that you can get a lot of people to do a lot of dumb things for free stuff, let's say that you get what you pay for here. My issue with this DLC pack is that it isn't presented well, and it's not as cohesive a story due to the idea that when this DLC is activated, it just tosses out another round of markers on the map for Ezio to chase instead of going along like a memory sequence from point A to B to E. Also, the actual questline for this pack seems to be made more as an obligation to Sony rather than the game's fans because the objectives are really boring. The first thing is that Ezio goes to meet Niccolo Copernicus soapboxing at one of Rome's plazas, trying to spread the word of his astrological research to the public. It was odd to see him doing that since by the end of the mission, Copernicus didn't conclusively research anything about the universe, so how did he think he was going to convince people spoon-fed by the church about this topic? Anyway, Copernicus was trying to upset the believability of one of the church's tenets that the sun revolves around the earth. And since the papacy is in the pocket of the Templars, the guards come to kill him only to be saved at the last second by Ezio. Things are looking bad for the men of knowledge that Copernicus works with, so Ezio begins taking warning letters to the other astrologers before they get found out. Afterwards, Ezio meets Copernicus again to discuss ending the conspiracy against him, and without any prompting, they instantly figure out that the person marking him for death is the Master of the Rites, some dude in the church's organization that quote-unquote keeps the scripture pure. A lofty sounding title for someone who kills dissidents all day. The assassination of the Master plays out like one of the few Templar agent quests on the map, so you run around 3 or 4 guards and then do an air assassination with no fanfare. Then to finish up, you protect Copernicus for a minute from enemy waves. It's about as interesting as it sounds. Gets pretty confusing too when the game starts labeling enemies as important, but if you go after them, then the game insta-fails you because you got too far from Copernicus. Then the pack ends with Copernicus saying to Ezio that he'll continue his research by observing an eclipse that night. How convenient for him. And then he assures Ezio that his research will definitely turn out to be right and he'll be remembered as being correct. Again, this makes me wonder if the assassins are just ready to back any crazy person about their world-changing expeditions no matter how insane they are, or are the assassins just badass enough that they end up only backing up the weird people who turned out to be right by the end. The problem with this DLC is that the missions don't flow from one to the other, and act just as another type of side quest to distract you from your story missions, making this entire questline disjointed and breaks immersion constantly, especially since the missions in the questline are generic Assassin's Creed stuff, finding targets in a time limit, murdering people, and letter delivery. This part of the DLC takes up 3 of the quest's 8 memories, and all the astrologers are simple, faceless NPCs, so how do they expect me to care about them? It seems like Ubisoft took the laziest way out to put this whole mission together to earn their extra fee from Sony to make this a free experience. I will say that it's more interesting than the contracts this game has, but not by much. If it wasn't for the interconnectedness of the missions, then this DLC would be more useless completionist fodder that gets beaten by the town development aspect in terms of money raised. I won't complain about it not being free, so it's worth trying, but then again the PS3 version has so many optimization problems that you might be better off getting the 360 version even with the loss of this great content about one of history's astrological innovators.